I haven't said something controversial in a while.
Fantastic.
You want to have a controversial podcast?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's
go for it.
now you can just be here as my lady friend and backup. You see that? Somebody called you my lady friend the other day on the
I saw that. I had
podcast.
to read it twice because I'm like, who?
Your lady friend.
Yeah.
And that you've been referred to a lot of different things.
And it's always really mean.
Yeah, it is usually pretty mean.
I don't know what I did to offend everyone.
Yeah.
I thought I was the nice one out of us.
Well, no, they say the mean things about me, but then
Yeah.
they refer
But
to
they
you
refer
in
to
like
me
a
as
mean way.
mean way.
I think
Yeah.
they're just angry at me and they refer to you
Yeah.
in a mean way.
Hi, guys. Welcome to our podcast. I'm Heidi. I'm Brandon's wife, and this
Yeah.
is Brandon, my husband.
We have a website.
It's official. I saw an ad the other day. It was like, make it official. Have a website. No, it didn't say official. It said real. Make it real. Like, create a website. So if it's not a website, it's real.
not real.
And we have a couple
All right,
websites,
I got a couple
actually.
All right, so
I guess I'm stalling because I'm scared of what you're getting ready to start talking about.
it's Halloween.
Oh, that's a good topic.
I
I didn't realize today is Halloween. Did you know that?
What?
Today is Halloween.
That's what I just said.
Oh, I thought you meant
I
like...
said it's Halloween.
I thought, because I said, what's your controversial topic? And you said, like, your controversial topic is Halloween.
Well, yeah, and I figured,
Yeah.
well, I said it's Halloween, so
Yeah.
that's a controversial topic.
I was just saying, I didn't realize it was Halloween until the
Christians.
girls and I ran to the store, and they were like, ugh.
Okay, so I don't intend to turn this into the argument of celebrate Halloween or don't celebrate Halloween or anything else, but I had a thought about it today though. Like, somebody sent something, I don't know, some like picture or something. I don't even remember what it was that got me thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, it's so funny how many horrifying things that we've seen in this country
Yeah.
recently. The mass shootings, death, all the real natural disasters.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all these things. Horrifying things that we've seen lately. And on a consistent basis, evil is, and we cry about it on the, when all these things happen and people are, how did we get here and how did this happen and how can this is, pure evil. And then one night a year, it's like, you know what? I want to be like this demon. I want to be the devil. I want to maybe not everybody. I mean, people, that's why I said I don't intend to turn this into, I'm not making like a whole statement against Halloween, but it's just funny how our culture does that.
Yeah.
And how we, everything's horrifying every other day except for October 31st.
And all of a sudden,
And then it's got to
cool.
be, then all of a sudden it's cool and we go all out on these. I mean, we've lived this suburban life. We know the suburbs, how the suburbs go. I mean, people go get decked out their houses for Halloween. I mean, haunted houses, and they do all these, stuff like that. And again, don't intend to make this, about that, but more so just our willingness to accept this on, it seems, one day a week or one night a year.
Yeah.
Or actually, it's a longer period of time because these people set up their haunted houses. It takes them the whole month of October. So it's like the whole month of October is, looking forward till the 31st and setting up your house and getting all these, and we're all into it's like, it's unreal, the stuff that, like, you walk into Walmart right now and you look at the masks and stuff, and like, oh, this stuff is real all around us, like almost on a daily basis now. Yet I want to look like a dead person with a gunshot wound to his head. Like, really? Like, that's where we want to go with where we are?
Or the most insanely immodest whatever.
Yeah, or we'll go complete skank.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, that was what we always used to joke about even in high school, we used to joke about that. You want to be everything but be the whorish version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to be a whorish Tinkerbell. I want to be a whorish, not, like I said, it's not everybody, but come on, guys, let's be honest.
The mass
Like the mass majority of these things are the world.
Even people that are trying to find something somewhat better, it's difficult. I mean, look at the kids' costumes and the things that they have out there, especially if you're talking like older kids or teenage kids. Like, unless you're walking around with a bag on your head, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, I mean, some old friends posted some pictures on Facebook today, and they were complete. I mean, their costumes were awesome. I mean, it was cool. They did it at work, and it was perfectly modest. It was there was nothing wrong with it. So it is difficult, but that's not, like I said. So that's why I didn't want to include everybody on it. But for the majority of people, it's that way, and that's where we'll first go to, and our brains just are wired to do this, and everything is okay this day.
yeah.
But then everything else outside of it is a tragedy. It's like, and a lot of this does have to do with Christians too, because like there's a large split in the church over Halloween and the celebration of it in the church. And I don't think that it's something that should divide. I really don't. I think there is one side that says, hey, look, Scripture will not forgive you for celebrating this holiday. That's the complete extreme. And it's like, that's not correct. Then there's this other side where it's like, okay, well, we have freedom to do everything that we want anyway. Is evil, like,
So,
we can get. Woohoo! Let's just do it.
Yeah.
It's like, remember,
Also
yes,
not correct.
all things are lawful, but not everything is helpful. Not everything builds up. So it's I think there's definitely there's plenty of ways. If you're a Christian and you decide to celebrate Halloween, there's plenty of ways that you can do it and be Christian with it. And I encourage people that are in that to, there's a lot of people that are handing out tracts and the ABCs of salvation and all these things and that's awesome. I mean, that's definitely what you should be doing. You should be engaging your community on this day specifically.
Absolutely.
This is one thing where I think even as, street preachers, if you're able, if anybody's listening that does do, I know a couple of you that do, go out tonight, man. I mean, go out, talk to people, engage people. This is definitely an opportunity to minister to people.
Oh, absolutely.
And not tell them what they're doing is sinful and wrong. We don't want to have the picket signs with the guys screaming that you're all going to hell for celebrating this demonic holiday. But engage them and don't shame them. But engage them and just, I think it's a good time to bring people to Christ and not go 100 at them yet, and just kind of ease this in where it fits. But at the same time, I'm so sick of the talk of this. Like, I have always rolled my eyes at the people talking about the evil of Halloween. I thought it was cool because, in a long time ago, and my past life, obviously, it's creepy and, whatever. I was all into that. So, that's cool. But at the same time, I always used to roll my eyes. I was like, really? This day is more demonic than any other day that exists every single day? Like, this is, the spirits are out. Their spirits are out every night. Like, we constantly fight a battle. There's not one point where it lets up. It's always like that for Christians. So it's one day a week just to single out this one day a week and say, well, this is horrible. It's more evil. No, it's not any more evil than any of the other days a week. And I think that's what we need to get our attitudes and mindsets in, is like, the world is evil.
Yeah.
And the people's choice of how they engage it, these costumes, these things that we see, these, the things we were just talking about, how they engage it is what is telling, but it's not any worse than any other day. And we shouldn't be afraid of it, and we shouldn't be afraid to engage the community in it. But for the other side of it, I mean, even if you're a Christian decides to get in like the creepy aspect of it, you're just like, oh, it's just show. It's just, it's monsters. It's Addams Family type, that's cool. That's fine. But we really need to ask ourselves, like, what really are we doing here? If we're like, because a lot of Christians do accept this type of thing. And It's like, really, with what I said earlier, with what's going on in the world, we want to go around and be doing this right now. That's like, I don't know. I just don't. I don't think the condition of the world really, and people's cries and horror these things happen. Their reactions to these things don't match up what they want to do on October 31st. Like, it makes zero sense whatsoever. It's like, no wonder your world is falling apart and crumbling. We embrace these things like they're fun.
Well, and that's that famous quote by Anton LaVey, the founder of the Satanic Church, the Church of Satan. And he said, I love that for one night a year, Christians let their children worship Satan, right?
Yeah, for one night a year.
But it's interesting to note that obviously
Did you pull that quote up?
Right now?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, I thought you pulled that quote up.
Oh, no.
That's what you're doing.
But we know that people who do these things and have you know what I mean? It's like the world is always evil. These are certain things, and you're right. It's funny how we'll sit here and we'll watch the news and be like, what's happening? Why are things so bad?
We'll put we'll put the Facebook banner on the ribbon or the pray for. Mm-hmm. Then you're like, I want to be a guy with like a saw going through his head.
Yeah.
Like, what sense does this make?
Yeah.
Why would we celebrate? I don't know. It makes no sense. It's just, it's at the same time as it's like laughable it's not funny. I think that we should realize, and I think as Christians we should just realize that that's like, again, that becomes a mission field for us.
Yeah.
Not to disengage and not to push it away, but to realize that, like, look how lost these people are.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody wants to see anything horrifying or death and all these things, but yet we embrace it and we have fun with it. Like, it's for some reason we just push it off and say that it's okay.
Yeah. Well, and then you see people, because it's right, it's hard, but I feel like we get under this idea that there's some things that are too small or they're not that big of a deal, so they're not to be weighed biblically, right? And it's like, okay, everything must be weighed biblically. Like, you have to look at everything. So you're telling me, because you go, okay, well, celebrating Halloween's not that big of a deal. Like, I obviously don't celebrate it for any of the pagan reasons and occult reasons and things like that. Mm-hmm. Okay. You feel comfortable to know the ways that that date was used for, founded from, all of the things, and it doesn't bother you. That's fine. You can not have any convictions with that. Okay. But you're telling me that if Jesus showed up today, he would agree with you and be like, yes, the best use of our time and resources and everything you have is to go out and do these things and participate in these worldly things and take your
and that's a huge thing. That's the thing is Jesus says, what does Jesus say? It's, let the dead bury the dead.
Yeah.
Like, we're not to mourn.
But have you ever stopped and thought about it? Have you said, hey, yeah, if Jesus showed up literally at my doorstep today about 4 p.m, whatever, he would say, yeah, the running around and getting and doing all this stuff, like, this is the best way for us to go out and do this. So then people say, well, that's why we do it with the church. We do trunk or treat. It's a outreach opportunity. Okay. Are you there preaching Christ crucified? Mm-hmm. Or are you there doing all the things that the world's doing, dressing up, passing out candy, decorating the cars, doing all of the things, but it's just at the church, so there's a sense of security and safety, so we call it good. Mm-hmm. You're not using this as an outreach opportunity.
Yeah,
you're entertaining people in an attempt to get them to come to your church, where you're going to continue to focus on entertaining them and fill your seats. Sure.
Well, and that's what's funny is I remember
Let's just be honest for a minute.
There's these, I think it was actually on that Paul Washer video I had posted on our home church page. where he's going through their. It's a clip video where they're going through the different clips, but it shows the one church they made a whole sermon series themed off of The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And all these other like culture, and I'm like, now we're mixing this in culture. Like this is just probably not a good idea, really, to do.
No, not at all.
I don't know. I at the same time, like I think that there's this today Halloween is blown way out of proportion by Christians on both sides. It really is. I don't think obviously in our even you and I grew up. Okay, we didn't grow up purposely going out to worship demons.
Nope.
You're going out because you have fun on Halloween. You go out, you get candy, you dress up as something, and you have fun. Usually it meant going, to some get together part, whatever it was, and you had a lot of fun. So most people are innocently celebrating these things.
Yeah.
Which again, even if you're well mature in the faith and you still decide
But
to
it's still
celebrate
focused
Halloween.
on self.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to. I think it's demonized on both sides, but I think in the middle there's a huge, like I keep saying it, evangelism opportunity. I've seen a lot of people. Like I said, they did the ABCs. They printed out cards. They've stuff, along like taped with like a piece of candy on it. And even if people throw it away, I mean, it's something. It's your outreach and your kindness, to them that hopefully that they will see, and hopefully they'll read it and not throw it away. So I don't know. I think we should just use it as an opportunity. But basically, I think the controversial part of it was just saying how ridiculous that we are as a culture that we do this stuff. Like we are the most sissified culture when it comes to anything. Like one natural disaster happens and everybody is screaming on there, and pray for. And we should. I'm not. Don't misquote me and say that we shouldn't do this. And I'm not trying to be mean or nasty or anything, but I mean this is reality. Like we're the most sissified country when it comes to that. Like look in countries in the Middle East, like this stuff happens every day, and they're like, oh,
Another Tuesday.
no, another Tuesday. It's another day. But we have one huge natural, or any other shooting and these things like this, and it's the end of the world. And everybody's calling for every kind of political reform and every kind of, more security and all these other things. Yet we literally have a holiday where we celebrate death and dying, and maybe not purposely, but for the most part, we know it's all about scary, spooky stuff, but yet we have all these problems around us. So it seems to me, it just seems stupid.
I don't get why we have to care either way about it.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Like, our whole point is to be in God's word, living as we see, not wrapped up in the cares and affairs of this world. So why do you care the difference of today from tomorrow or from 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't.
Why do we get wrapped up in these things?
That's where Christians do well to study the biblical feasts of the Old Testament. Like we have Purim.
Yeah.
Okay, that Jews literally dress up on Purim like this is their day to dress up. This is their festival day for it. But the reason why they celebrate this festival and the why that they do this is because God is not fully revealed.
Yeah.
God is
in that whole book.
We are in the whole book. God is not revealed at all. Yeah. He is not alluded, of course. But that's why they celebrate that. So, I mean, if you're a Christian and you're realizing that, you're like, well, why don't we celebrate that? Cool.
And that's the part I think that's hard, because you talk to some Christians and it's like, biblically, how can you be comfortable with Halloween? I don't see it. And they go, well, the kids just want to dress up. Your kids can't dress up at any day?
Yeah.
Well, they just want to dress up and get together and have fun. That's what Purim is. Literally for thousands of years now. That's exactly what that's for. And has no ties to pagan occultism, anything.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty cool thing.
It's
if you
all
don't know
for
your feast
enjoying
is
the
still
praises
into.
of God's protection for his people, the Jews, to bring us the Messiah.
Yep. So why couldn't we do that? Like, if that's something that you want to do. But either
that's
people
what
don't
makes
know
you
about
think
it,
that
or
you're either completely ignorant to the topic, which I think is the case to a lot
people
of it.
don't. People think because we're not Jewish, like we're not allowed to celebrate the feast. Like, it's not an exclusive Jewish thing. It's a
God thing.
It's a God thing. It has nothing to do.
with that.
It is specifically Jewish.
Do you worship the Jewish God, the father of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Yes, you do. So it's for you.
Well, he's the God of their people, absolutely, and he's the God of us.
And is
we
that
are
not the
grafted
God
in,
that we worship?
and we are grafted into that tree.
But that's what makes you wonder sometimes with some of this stuff, because it's like maybe there is a bigger pull. So like I said, either you're totally ignorant to all of the stuff, you don't do it, this is what you've always done, it's what everyone does, you don't stop to think about it. That's the problem, is nobody stops to think about these things. We just do them because in our society, this is what we do. It's like, but yet when we see people down in Mexico and wherever different countries that do this really demonic looking crazy stuff, we're like, I don't care if it's cultural. If you love Jesus, you don't do that. It's like, okay, so what about all the things we do that are cultural, have no biblical basis, very demonic ties, and yet we still jump into everything because, well, it's just what we do. I don't do it like that. It's like, right? But then when we look at other countries, we're like, man, you look down and they're all into voodoo and all this witchcraft and crazy stuff. And it's like, what? I don't get how we get there, but
Yeah, I
it
don't
doesn't make
understand it.
sense.
So, what's our point in this?
This is your podcast, dude. I don't know what you're doing.
I don't know.
Do you have a point?
You wanted us to have a podcast that went up today.
You're supposed to have a podcast up today. You're like totally off schedule and messing things up, and we're supposed to be eating lunch in 4 minutes.
Yeah, I'm totally. Because you're totally. I was like, Halloween. Today's Halloween.
We should do a Halloween podcast. Okay, so if you had to answer though, we'll just do this and then we can wrap this up because people need to hurry and listen to our podcast so they can get out and go trick or treating.
It's okay.
Okay, because I feel like you and I even are slightly different on it. I think you lean way too liberal on this topic, and I lean on the other side.
No, I lean way too mature on this topic because the maturity is realizing that you have to give people grace in this because they do not understand. And sometimes their brains cannot process these things. They don't have enough tools to process it. And you can't untrain somebody even in 10 years from a way of thinking that you've done throughout your whole life. So,
but you wouldn't classify this as something that when you truly get it and you truly come to this that you should be cool with still participating.
But I don't see this being any different than if you watch like hardcore rated R movies,
which you shouldn't do either.
Right, but what is that? That was my okay. So this is the point of the podcast. This makes no difference. This day makes no difference than any other of the evil. This day is just more blatant. Okay, I'll give you that. But it has it's almost. All the other days are even more evil because the evil's hidden and behind.
Agree with that.
At least the evil is way out front here.
I see so many people that are like, you don't understand what the occult and things do on these days. Yes, they do a lot of awful things on these days.
Okay, so what difference does that make from every other day that exists? I mean,
your guard's down because you're not worried about it.
What does Peter say? Does he say that he says the days are evil?
Yeah, all of them.
He doesn't say October 31st is evil.
Yeah, they're all evil.
No, he says the days are evil, and these are evil days.
So do you then say that Christians maturing and growing, not new Christians, but Christians maturing and growing in the Lord,
should grow out of it?
So they should not celebrate Halloween.
I'm not saying they shouldn't, but I think that as a Christian, as you mature in these things, you grow out of it naturally. I think that's what I think you just as you gain more solid food and you realize.
Okay, so I think maybe we're closer than I thought we were. because I think usually when you talk,
But you got to give patience to people.
No, I think that's fine to give patience.
But usually
the
when I
point
talk,
being
what?
of when
You were going to give me a criticism that probably needed to happen. What did you say?
No, I think lately when we've talked about this, you are very
vague.
Like you're very vague, and you're very like, I was gonna say, like, you conserve your words, but you're more liberal in it, where you're like, don't worry about, like, you're very, which I think this is funny because usually you're too harsh on stuff, but I feel like you, when it comes to holidays, maybe it's just because it's something I'm passionate about, so you try to be the opposite of me, because like anything I care about, you try to be the like anti of. But when it comes to like this, you've been so like, it's okay, don't worry about it, type of a thing. And I'm like, is that really what you feel?
Well, I think that's where people misunderstand what I say a lot.
Yeah.
And I constantly tell, I'm not talking to people. When I say a lot of the things that I say, I'm not talking to individual people.
Yeah.
I'm going, and I laid this out on the difference between, which y'all need to go listen to that because there isn't enough. But there's
like nobody's listened to that, and it's like the most important one.
Teachers and brothers.
Yeah.
Okay. I handle this authority way different than I do your everyday believer.
So what about pastors that love Halloween and push the Halloween stuff in the church?
I go absolutely
There's
nuts
no
over.
excuse for
There's
that.
absolutely zero excuse for that.
Yeah.
There's pastors that can speak about it, that can, like I just said, there's plenty of evangelism. We know that we can't do anything about, and we shouldn't demonize the fact that this is part of our culture. Mm-hmm. We as Christians look like idiots if we demonize the fact, because people are like, what? We're not worshiping Satan. We don't get it. What are you, they don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
So we look stupid trying to demonize this holiday in front of people, and there has always been this Christian aspect of it, of like Christians shutting off all the lights and hiding under their bed and saying their prayers because the demons are out.
They're going to strike at any minute.
And don't go outside. Everybody will get you, and that everybody that goes out and trick or treating is going to hell, and Jesus will never save them.
Insane.
Like, that has always been this kind of stigma that's looked against Halloween, and that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And we shouldn't. So pastors and leaders in the church should identify that, yes, this is part of our culture. We can't, let's not cut everybody's heads off because they decide to do it. But how can we engage this and pull this away, and feed these people, milk at first, but get them into solid food, to where they understand that, yeah, this is probably not something that we want to do. But you can't expect everybody to know that at first. But going to the pastors and the churches and the teachers and the leaders and whoever that is in the position of it, mm-hmm. that's where all my stuff goes to. And that's where I won't. I'll say stuff and I don't have any mercy towards it, because it shouldn't be like that. And it's wrong. And there's plenty of things to be said about that. But then there's like the other side here where, hey, we've got to gently correct and shepherd and be loving and be Christ-like, actually being that way.
Yeah.
The way that we're handling this, and we need to go out, and the biggest thing is engagement. For those of you that are in the position of engagement, that I think that's what needs to be done. But I'm not judging any believer that, because clearly if you celebrate Halloween, I don't know if your maturity as a believer is at the point where it needs to be. Which you're on your own. I'm not saying that's, I know what time frame that is. I don't know. But if you're a Christian that's okay with doing this, mm-hmm. I don't think your spiritual maturity is completely, it hasn't grown into this next level, because there's too many things that it's not It's not cute. It's not just funny and silly.
Well, it's the same thing with when you look at Christians that are cool with watching rated R horror movies all the time. It's like,
it's the same thing. If you're a Christian that's okay with
which
watching
is the
rated
same
R
thing
horror
who,
movies,
if you're a
are.
Christian who listens to Lauren Daigle and Hillsong and stuff like that,
Right.
and gets all of your
And that's
spiritual
where,
everything
and that's where I
filled.
feel bad because I'm like, you know, I do. I go against Daggle and I speak harsh on that, but I don't mean to speak about individual people that listen to her music.
But if you're being spiritually filled by something like that, that's so milky and nothingness,
You have
that's
not,
just the level of spiritual
and-
maturity.
but
if you're feeling fed by that,
right, and the problem is where I come in to add controversy is trying to rile that up in that person, because that person will just continue in this way of this Lauren Daigle type Christianity, and a lot of times you'll walk away from it because it doesn't fill you. You're always searching for something.
so you think it's Christ that didn't fill you up. No, it was you're trying to feed off of this
feeding off
Lauren
of milk.
Daigle
You were trying to fill off of
Christianity
this
that's nothingness.
that's just nothing. So I'm not, you know, that's why. And then these people will be the first ones to just fiercely defend it.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, I'm sorry, you're wrong. You clearly have not reached your spiritual maturity yet.
Well, but it's the same thing here. So when you look at this and you go, okay, look at the TV you watch. How is that spiritually feeding you? How are you praising the Lord with what you're watching?
Well, that's a question that we should
The music
ask
you listen
before
to,
we do
the
anything.
friends you hang out with, the things you talk about, the things you think about, the things you spend your money on. Halloween. How is this spiritually feeding and filling you and your children and everything else? How is this, and that's so hard. People are like, the kids, how is this bringing your kids closer to the Lord? How is this teaching your children to live like Jesus? Mm-hmm. Think about it. I mean, I'm not saying I have the answer, but think about it.
and this should be something
But do we go into it with that attitude?
and not just one day a week,
every single day,
or one day a year?
But that's the thing that you know, the point too, that we don't stop to question these things. Question your music. Question the TV you watch. Question the people you hang out with, the priorities you make, the things you do, the things you celebrate, right? The things you wear, the things you know, all of the things. Question.
Yeah, because I say a lot of stuff about a lot of things, and I get lots of mean messages because of it. But usually it's just like people that on the whole political thing, like people completely misunderstand me all the time.
Mm-hmm. You just hate vets in the story.
Yeah, that's it. But
as not it
I usually I'm talking about, you know, when we talk about Trump evangelicals, like that's not just one person. It's just an idea. Yeah. It's just like a you know, it's not necessarily a person.
It's a stereotype.
It's
Certain
a stereotype.
stereotypes are there because they
they're true.
Describe a
Truth.
group of people. Yeah.
So it's a stereotype when I talk about that, but people get really offended like I'm talking about them and against them personally. And it's like, listen, I
didn't say, hey, Mary listening who watches Fox News all day, I'm talking to you.
Yeah, I'm not, but I'm saying the things I say so you'll at least question them. And it's done good in many other ways, but in some ways it's backfired because people, again, don't have the tools to be able to process that. So that just shows a lack of spiritual maturity.
Absolutely.
Anybody that is wrapped up in the cares and affairs of this world that much, unfortunately, you have a lack of spiritual maturity.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine if you want to do it, but anybody that is defensive, that gets angry, that gets so involved and wrapped up in these things, it's almost out of reaction. It's funny to see. It's just like, how do you care about this that much?
And that's the part. So when you talk to people and say, hey, how do you as a follower of Christ find any way scripturally to reconcile your watching R-rated movies?
It's just like,
celebrating Halloween.
It's just like, you believe in Jesus, right? You believe that he is the King of Kings, Lord of Lords. You believe that one day he will return to the earth and he will rule over. Yes. Okay. So why do you care about anything else that much? It's fine if, I mean, you know, I'm not talking about voting. I'm not talking about not doing or supporting one person. I'm just saying, why why do you care that much about it? Same thing with Halloween. It's just like, why is there this day that you care about?
Yeah.
Like, why?
That you just got to hold on to with
you-
everything and make
So-
excuses for, right? Because that's what it is. That's how you know there's an issue. Because you go, hey, how biblically do you reconcile these things? If Christ showed up, would he be like, yeah, this is the best way for us to be spending our time and energy and focus and provisions and things on? Let's do
Yeah,
this.
because we need to be, we don't have the rule book, but we understand that we have dealings with this world, and we understand that we live in this world, and we can't be afraid of it. We shouldn't be afraid of it.
Yeah, I'm not scared of it.
But we should also discern everything we as believers do, everything. So we just need to be more discerning in honestly ask ourselves these questions, and a lot of time it comes up to selfish reasons.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think what makes the topic worth reconsidering or thinking about, in, like I said, or maybe even changing our involvement in it. I don't know. Maybe instead of dressing up and going out, maybe you're staying in and ministering out. I don't know. But
maybe you're hosting fellow believers and having a time of Bible study and worship and family gathering and fellowship, partaking in the Lord's Supper and doing things like this and opening your home up to anybody who's interested to come in.
Sure.
If you want to get
there's all
dressed up
kinds
and
of
eat a
stuff.
bunch of sweet treats, do it at Purim. It's in
Yeah.
the spring. You got a little while to wait. The weather's usually nicer, though, so it's actually kind of nice.
Yeah. So again, I mean, we're not talking about an individual, because I know we always have like the but one case where it's like, okay, I understand what you're doing, but then, but I mean, for the most part, it's not like that, and I think it's worth, I think it's just worth considering, but it's also Christians that are pounding each other. I also see in social media so much fighting over it right now.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. And stop. Like, we can't have that large of a divide over it.
Nope.
And that's why you said that you think that I'm too liberal on it. It's like, no, I just realized the arguments that go into this.
Yeah.
And I think this is where you have to go, okay, we can't have this large a divide, and we can't make a blanket statement that say that everybody is doing this, is celebrating Satan, this is horrible, and they do. So we can't do that. And I refuse to do that.
Yep.
It's divisive, and it does no good for the building
And we
up
all
of the
need
church.
to be checking ourselves. If you're posting stuff and it's just causing people to be divided and to have to pick a side and do stuff like that, then stop talking about it.
But at the same time, there's some realities to all this too that we as Christians need to definitely have the duty to say, I don't think you might want to do that. You might want to rethink it. You might want to rethink it quick. But certainly not in a judgmental, pointing our finger and tearing somebody down way. So I'm glad that we did this just to make that distinction, because I know that's something that a lot of people misunderstand about what this podcast said, what I say, what a lot of times they get where the focus is. My irritation is on the people that know better and the people that lead this whole train. All y'all that follow it, I can't blame you. You have no better way to discern these things. So I'm not
mad
you're
at you
cool.
for
I'm not
falling
mad
off
at
a
you.
cliff. You're
And
following the train off the
if you
cliff.
don't get it, you're like, what's the deal? I'm not looking at you going, okay, you need to catch up. And saying, no. Saying, okay, just, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out along the way. We'll get there.
I think too, and I think kind of last point here and wrapping this up, I think a lot of people are hesitant because they're afraid. They're afraid that the kids will miss out or it'll be this huge ordeal.
They don't really care.
They really don't. We stopped 5 or so years ago, and our kids really don't care.
Yeah,
and
we
the
got
more
them,
that
like,
we
we
teach
made-
them and they grow in spiritual maturity, they're like, yeah, that's cool. I'm good.
Yeah,
It's
but
really not
they
that big of a
also
deal.
understand evil.
Today is just another Thursday. Like
Yeah,
today
for
was
them.
trash day. We remembered to put the trash out. Like
Yeah.
that's what our
That
kids
was
thought
what
was
the
when they
big
woke
deal
up
was
today.
today.
And it wasn't until, like I said, we got to the store and the girls were like, is today Halloween? Because, right, you see it as soon as you walk in the store. It's all the stuff up in the front. And my girls have been rolling their eyes for the past, month that all the stuff has been out there. And they're like, this is ridiculous. When is this over? And so when we walked into the store and all this stuff like was going on, they were just like, oh gosh, this is crazy type of a thing.
Yeah.
They weren't like, oh no, we're missing out on all
Yeah,
the
like,
things. Please let us world more.
And it's fun. That's another. I don't want to get into another topic here, but it's funny how protective we are of our kids. One day we don't want them to miss out on something for this one day a week, but yet every other time.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, we will go into another topic.
So let's just see. I'm just going to put this question out there. We don't have to discuss it, but let's let Christian listener right now who's listening. So you're going to be protective of your children when it's Drag Queen Library Day. Mm-hmm. But it's okay. We're just having fun on Halloween.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, because dressing up as like a female used to be funny on Halloween. That is kind of funny. Like it's a weird thing to think of. Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard question to answer.
We're reconciling one and standing straight up against another.
I don't know.
There's a lot of similarities.
There is there. Yeah,
just
that's
a thought.
Good question.
We'll just leave that
but
there.
I mean, it is funny when we want to be protective and we want to worry about our kids and our kids can't miss out. But then, what about all the other moments that they miss out on?
That's what I'm saying. Just as like a single one. Like, I don't want my child to go to Drag Queen Library Day because sexually immoral. Like, we have a whole list of reasons. Biblically sound reasons. We have all the verses. Got it. What is so different with wanting them to still get to go out and do these things over here?
Yeah, okay, and then I guess I want to make one, and we're going to end this right now because we can go eat. We're on our intermittent fasting.
Our intermittent fasting window has started, so now your podcast is going to be cut short because we're hungry.
Yep. But if you're a Christian that is full, mature Christian that still celebrates Halloween, like I don't understand how you. I know the places where you make exceptions and your arguments for it, but I think in the long run of really taking Peter to heart and understanding that, and not just Peter. I mean, it's all of the apostles. I mean, these days are evil, and every not just one, every, and is an association being the controversial topic as it is for a Christian? Where's our stand on this to the world? How is the world looking out and on us during this time?
If you look like, so if I were to go into your home on Halloween and then go into any other unbeliever's home.
What if Halloween turned into be the day that the Christians went out and preached the gospel in that evening?
Yeah.
Served
people, fed people, washed feet.
Instead of the Christians being known for trunk or treats and harvest festivals, go I don't know.
Which is just another word for Halloween
that doesn't, if you are a Christian that's mature and decides to do it, like I said, there's certainly arguments that can, and I agree with the arguments that say that, yes, it's permissible. But I don't think it's beneficial.
Well, but that was my point. If I go into your home and then I go into any other unbeliever's home, are they going to look different or are they going to look the same on October 31st?
Right.
Would I be able to tell which one is the Christian, Christ-honoring, God-following house and which one is the unbeliever's house? Would there be a difference? Or are you doing all the same things that everybody else in the world does and just going with the flow and doing all the stuff?
Yep. And that goes for everything, though.
It's absolutely everything. That was my point. I kept bringing up in the biblical womanhood one. I go, so if I go look into any unbeliever's house and then we go into your house and we see what you spend your money on and talk about and think about and focus on and do, would it look the same?
Right.
Because if it would, or even somewhere near the same, we have some major, major issues.
Yep.
So.
All right. Well, some things to think about, some things to hate about, I guess. We'll see.
Enjoy your night.
All right. Good night.